All right. I think that we're live and we're going on week 3 of the Solo Incubator. It's good to see everybody or the 0 people who have arrived so far. I've had people a moment to come in. Sorry if you got a late notice from ConvertKit. Been kind of a hectic week this week. So been kind of in catch-up mode since we got started, but that's all right. We'll get rolling. So we are in week 3 of the Solo Incubator webinar series where we're going from I don't know, I've got a bunch of skills, I've got a bunch of ideas, I'm not sure which one to invest into, I'm not sure which one people want, so on and so forth. And we go from that state all the way through, I have an offer, I understand what my offer is, and I'm trying to validate it. So in week 3, we're going to talk about market research. We're going to talk about market research because it's the first step to validating that what you're trying to do is in demand by people and people actually want it. And I'm going to show you the easiest way to do that without reaching out to 500 different people and needing to cold DM people or get on hours of meetings to understand what's going on. So welcome to week 3. As a reminder, we are in stage 1 of the Solo Incubator. I haven't talked a ton about what stage 2 entails. We will talk about that as we get a little bit further. But stage 2 entails okay, now that I've got a good idea, now that I know that people want it, now that I've validated that there's other people offering what I'm offering, how do I then take that and start implementing that in real life? How do I create funnels? How do I create an offer that makes sense, that's appealing to people? So stage 2 is about the implementation of what we're learning here once we've made it through this validation stage that people actually want what we're selling. So we're in week 3. We're going to learn market research. We're going to learn a 3-step market analysis. I don't know that I did 3 steps, to be honest. I'm making these things kind of as we run. But I am going to teach, okay, this is how we're going to go out into the market and how we're going to figure out if people actually want what you're selling. Okay. And then we're also going to figure out, outside of do people want what I'm selling, we're also going to figure out when we say who can be our mentors, who can we follow, what example can we look at to understand how much should I charge, what should my landing page look like, all of those different things. Market research is going to help with that as well. So we're in week 3. Thanks for sticking with it. I'm excited to talk about market research and yeah, let's hop into it. As a reminder, by the end of stage 1 of the Solo Incubator, you're going to understand 4. I need to change the slide. I said this last week. 4 beginner level business models. You're going to find your marketable skills, how to package those marketable skills. We talked about that last week. We're going to hit on that a little bit more today. We're going to talk about how to find your audience and your real mentors, real actual people that you can follow along with. And we're going to validate your business with real customers. So exciting. We're almost to the end. 3 out of 4 weeks. It's nuts. Went really fast. As a reminder, if you're joining and you're new, I think we had 10 people this week that joined into this list. If you're new or you're catching up after the live stream, I am Josh. I'm helping purpose-driven small business owners expand their reach, improve their product performance, and leave a lasting impact on the world using the same skills that helped me go from a negative bank balance to 100K in 4 years, launch and maintain multiple $1 million products, and create a VP of tech position out of thin air with one 30-minute conversation. If you want to hear that story, it's actually in week 2. You should go watch that week 2 discussion on packaging, because I talked exactly about how I used packaging and positioning to create a VP of tech role for myself in 30 minutes with a meeting in the CEO. So anyway, I'm wrapping all of that experience in product tech and marketing into Ethic Rising. You see my little logo in the bottom left that I've updated. And that's going to be the go-to digital marketing consultancy for impact-driven coaches, advisors, and consultants, where I'm going to help people expand their reach, especially when they're trying to make a positive impact on the world. and especially if they think marketing is a little bit gross or a little cheesy or not worth investing in. I'm here to help bridge that gap and help people who really want to make a positive impact on the world to actually make that impact. Okay. I'm going to do a quick review of last week and kind of, series to date. We're going to fly through this because I also want to talk a bit more about packaging quickly because I missed a few things last week. So a quick review. Again, when you're in a solo business, you do everything. You do it all. You do marketing, you do product, you do operations, you do sales. Riley McGee, that's for you. Which means that when we look at MoneyX or Business YouTube or any of these different things, we see that a lot of people are spending 80 or 90% of their time here and almost 0% of the time over in these two areas, operations, products, and then sales. And the challenge is that people make money by having a product, by selling that product, by having contracts that people operate in to ensure that they're paying for it, by setting up automation. So people make money building a product, a service, a thing that they can actually sell. But most people that I've seen on MoneyX and in other areas are stuck here. They're marketing 90% of the time, and marketing is not where money is made. It is how you lead people to the things that make you money. Okay. So if you're spending all of your time here, not the right spot. We also talked about 4 business models. Go back to the recordings. I'll make sure that those get sent out this Monday with the newsletter. But in short, there are 4 main business models that people are using to make money online. There are more than this, but these are like the basic ones that most people are selling or making money on. And if you want an overview of those 4, pop over to the first or second video where I talk more about those. Last week, we talked about packaging. And if you recall, we said packaging is this way that people know you are for them. This is how they know that they should purchase from you and not from a competitor. And we talked about on the left that these are packaged to healthy people or people that need help with digestion or people that want to build some muscle, whatever you want to say there, that these call out the characteristics that say, I'm Cheerios, I'm for you because I lower cholesterol, or, if you want flavorful, crazy flavors, fruity flavors. If you're a kid, then I'm the cereal for you because I used a cartoon on the front and I got a bunch of like super colorful stuff that's going to appeal to kids, right? And so packaging is this idea of, even though they're both selling cereals, right? Even though they're both selling cereals, sorry, I just had like a mind blank. Even though they're both selling cereals, we are clear on which cereals are for which people and which cereals are for me, given my goals, so on and so forth. I talked about your job being becoming a mirror for your customer. And so you're going to mirror back to them what they see, what they're feeling, what they're believing, and what they want. And you're going to also mirror back to them what they're aware of. What are they doing every day? What are they unsatisfied with? This allows you to help your customer know that you understand them, you've been where they have been, and that you can help them get over the hump, right? And once you show them the current state of where they are, the second part of your job is to show them the future and bring them along with the future and do the same thing in the future. What are they seeing? What are they feeling? What are they believing? What do they want? And then what are they aware of? What are they doing every day? What are they satisfied with as a result of working with you? So you want current state, and then you want to bring them along to the future state. And it's the same questions. And then what you're talking about is, how do I help you transform from current state into the future, the state that you desire? Now, before we move on to market research, I wanted to tie up one loose end from last week on packaging, because I felt that I felt that I left out a crucial component about packaging, and that is specificity and an ideal client. So if you recall, when we went back to these cereals, we had an ideal client, like 11 grams of protein. That's for someone watching their protein intake, and it's probably for someone that's living a healthier lifestyle. Maybe they're a runner, or maybe they're a person working out and they're trying to up their protein intake. And so this is fairly specific in saying, like, this is who I'm for. My ideal client is probably somebody who is healthy. My ideal client is probably like a kid, or just somebody that likes huge flavorful explosions in their mouth from their cereal. So I wanted to tie up a loose end that I felt I didn't really hit on last week, and that is specificity and understanding your ideal client. So a lot of folks in this space talk about things like, I'll help you find your purpose, or I'll help you be more productive, or I'll help you gain like, I don't know, 3 hours back a day or something. And like all of those are cool results, but they don't really hit as hard as a very specific result that is speaking to a very specific person. And so let's talk about, for instance, productivity. And I call this specific mirroring. If I'm a productivity expert, what I see a lot of people do is they might say, I help you become more productive. I help you gain more hours in a day. And that's fine. That's okay. Like, okay, maybe I know that I want to have more hours in my day. But if I'm an executive, what I want to hear is not that I gain more hours a day, but what do those more hours enable for me that I'm struggling with right now? So for instance, for an executive, that means like more time to lead their team. It might mean more time to create processes for their team to succeed. It might mean more time for networking with other business owners, finding funding sources for their business, or whatever. It's all about tying this result that you get for people to their goals. Instead of saying, I'll open up more 4 hours of time for you, it's like, I'm going to open up time so that you can spend more time finding funding sources for your business. I'm going to make you more productive so that I'm opening up this space for these specific things that you wish you were spending your time on. And so kind of the same thing if we were to look at a second example, like a mom who just had a baby who's wanting to regain her fitness or re-implement a fitness regime after her pregnancy. And so how would productivity or opening up more time help her? Well, she might find more time for working out. She might find time to be able to balance working out with having bonding time, right, with her newborn. She might find more time to prepare healthy meals, right? And so again, it's about this concept of, okay, I will open up more time for you, but it's through the lens of the person that you're speaking to. And this is why it's so important when you're going into packaging, or when you're making an offer, or when you're finding the skills of how you help people, to understand who you are speaking to. It's the most important thing that you can figure out. And if you don't believe me, go follow anybody like George Ten or any copywriter who will tell you the same thing. It's about understanding that you have a specific person that you know how to help. You know how to help them with very specific problems that they know they have. They recognize it. For instance, newborn mom maybe doesn't know where she's going to find time to work out. Maybe doesn't know how she can meal prep on a Sunday or something so that she has healthy meals throughout the week, instead of relying on, making a healthy meal every single lunch period when she doesn't have time to do it. So again, it's about connecting to those people's desires. It's about understanding what their desires and pain points are, and then saying, this is how productivity will help you, or this is how understanding fitness will help you, or this is how understanding nutrition will help you, or whatever, and I just wanted to call that out before we wrapped up the packaging conversation, because I think it kind of like ties a bow on the end of it, on the end of that mirroring conversation, and give some examples of how you specifically mirror back to somebody that you're trying to sell your service to. Okay. Now we're going to talk about market research for about 20 minutes. We'll see like how far we get into this thing. And again, as always, feel free to pop questions in the chat. And if I don't have an answer now, or if we don't have time to talk about it now, definitely we'll talk about it in my newsletter this week. By the way, didn't get my newsletter out this week. I had a wild time in my 9 to 5 this week. Apologies for that, but I'm definitely getting one out to you guys Monday. Okay. Market research in 20 minutes. Why are we going to talk about market research? Well, kind contrary to, I think, what a lot of people talk about online, they're like kind of just like post content out there and you'll just kind of attract people, and somewhere, or some way, people will pay you. I think there's a much faster way to do that. And it has a few benefits to validating your offer without having to reach out to a bunch of people. But it also has benefits in helping you to identify people who are ahead of you that can set the example for where you can go, where you should go, and gives you somebody that you can emulate, while also validating that people want the thing that you're offering. And so I'm going to do a little bit of review for a second. If you've been reading my newsletter for a while, businesses have three things. They have a problem, they have a solution, and they have an audience. So for the problem, you have some problem that you've solved for yourself or for someone else in the past. Just a problem. You also need a solution. This is the thing you're going to sell. You have a discrete approach to solving this problem. You can implement or teach this solution to other people. And then lastly, you have an audience. You have a set of people that have the problem that you know how to solve, and they have money that they are willing to trade for a solution. And this is really important. There are a lot of people, I think Alex Hormozy talks about a friend of his who had like a resume writing service that he would charge people for. The problem being that the people who needed resumes written didn't have any money to pay him. And so while he had a problem and he had a solution, he didn't have an audience with money that was actually able to pay him. And so that's like a crucial element to consider as you're creating a business. There's ways to still help people without money that I will talk about at some other date. But you need a problem, you need a solution, and you need an audience with money that is willing to pay for that solution. So yeah, we talked about this already, but there's more to the story, because good solo businesses have a problem that's big enough. Like I said, big enough that people want to pay for it. It's obvious enough that people know they have it. And this is a challenge that a lot of people run into, is that they're selling some solution to a problem that people don't know they have. This can happen with someone who's like, I will help you get in touch with your inner child. Like a person who most needs to get in touch with their inner child probably has no idea what that means and probably doesn't want the service. But if they understood that getting in touch with their inner child would help them stop procrastinating on their goals, maybe that would be something useful to market. And then lastly, a good solo business has a problem that is discrete. It can be solved. The impact of that solution is obvious. And so there are situations where you can be like a general problem solver. This, like a life coach. A life coach doesn't necessarily guarantee a discrete result at the end. They much more are like, no, kind of work with you. We'll unlock your potential. It's like these vague things like this. But it is very difficult to sell something like that, because people have to know they want a life coach going in order to buy from you. Instead, a good solo business probably has a discrete problem. Something like, I will find you 20 leads in the next few days, or I will help you find time to actually be able to work out while having a newborn and working a job, right? These are problems that you can probably solve. It's discrete. They understand that they have the problem and they understand that they want it solved. Okay. So problem, big enough that people will pay for it, obvious enough that people know that they have it, and discrete enough that it can be solved and measured. The solution can be measured. The solution should be time bound. Hopefully it's a solution that can be implemented in 6 weeks or less. I think if you go beyond 6 weeks, people kind of freak out at that length of time. And they're like, I don't want to spend 6 weeks, or I don't want to spend 12 weeks or half a year or something like that solving this problem. I could do that myself. I could go research and find the solutions to all of this myself and try shit for the next 3 months. Or I could pay you to solve it for me in like 3 to 6 weeks. And so a good solo business solution, 6 weeks. It smashes things together quickly. Number two, the solution should have repeatable steps that'll actually work for 80% of people. I think a lot of times folks can make solutions that are very specific or very what's the word? They hit like one person's they're bespoke. They are bespoke solutions that solve like this very specific case for one person, and then they create another solution that solves a very specific case for a second person. Instead, you want repeatable steps that are working for 80% of people having the problem that you're talking about. And then third, it should be able to be measured in a quantitative way, meaning some numeric way. That can be weight loss. It can be number of miles run. It can be dollars gained. It can be leads that you got in the door. It can be traffic to a website. Some sort of way that you can measure that you actually succeeded at the outcome numerically, objectively. And the reason that you want a numeric way of saying that you accomplished something, I see this, I'll give a good example. I see this with copywriters all the time. They will send me something like, hey, I'd love to copyright your emails for you. Here are my testimonials. And the testimonials say, wow, he wrote a really good email. Wow, I wish I could write an email that good. Wow, he was really good to work with. I don't personally care if somebody can write good emails. What I care is, did the email get me more leads than I could have gotten on my own? Did it get me more leads or subscriptions? Did it lead to people buying my products? And so if a copywriter were to approach me and they were to say, I looked at your emails, Josh, and I see a way that I can get you like 20 leads by writing your emails differently in this way. Will you pay me to do that? Well, now I have a numeric thing that I'm able to understand and that they are able to sell to, but that we're able to measure together. Were you successful or not? And success doesn't mean I thought the email you wrote was good for a copywriter. It means this outcome that copywriting enables, more leads or more people in my funnel or whatever, actually was accomplished. And so your solution should have some way that you can measure that you actually accomplished the goals of the person that you were talking to. Okay. Lastly, again, as a good solo business, your audience should feel the pain and desire enough that they want to pay for a solution. I think there are a lot of people, again, who say things like, I'll help you live a life of purpose. And folks are like, okay, I kind of feel that pain, but I don't know that I want to pay for the solution to that. And I've been trying to figure out purpose for 3 years. Philosophers have been trying to figure out purpose for, I don't know, thousands of years. So I don't know that I want to pay you for that. But again, I might want to pay you to get my first client. Like if I've had a trouble landing a client to actually pay me, maybe that is a desire I have enough that I'd be willing to pay somebody for a solution. Number two, that audience has to have access to money to invest in themselves. We talked about this a little bit already on the last slide, but if you are unable to find an audience with money, then you're not going to be able to have a business, likely, right? And so, especially for people who want to do one-on-one coaching, high ticket, or services, high ticket, if you're not targeting people that are making, I don't know, over $60,000 a month or over 6 figures, you're gonna have a hard time selling a high ticket offer, right? Because if you consider like, I'm gonna charge somebody $5,000 to help them find their purpose, the only people that have money to spend on finding their purpose are people with a bunch of money. And so you have to make sure that your client avatar, your audience that you're picking, actually has the money to invest in the high ticket thing that you're trying to sell. Lastly, they should have urgency in solving the pain point such that they will invest in your solution, meaning that a good audience or a good solo business and a good audience, they want to solve this problem quickly. That's why they're willing to pay you. For instance, if I have a running toilet, right? And I know that running toilet, number one, it's annoying, but it's costing me a bunch of money because my water keeps running and we have to pay for water in our utility bill. then I have an urgency that I want my toilet fixed pretty quickly, and I'm willing to pay somebody to fix my toilet pretty quickly. And the same thing should exist in a good solo business, which is someone should feel enough pain that they want it solved like now. And so when you're choosing a problem and you're choosing the solution to that problem, and you're choosing an audience, the problem should be something that people feel. It should feel intense. The problem should be something that you know how to solve in a short period of time, 6 weeks or less. And then an audience should feel like, I need this solved in the next 6 weeks, because if I don't get it solved, something bad will happen, or I'll continue to feel that pain. And so all of that to say, good solo businesses have a clear problem, a clear time box solution, and an audience willing to pay for that problem. And all of this is important because the challenge for you, after we talked about all of those things, is finding the right problem, finding the audience with that problem, and finding the right solution for that audience. And this is where we come into market research and the power of market research. Because the hard way, the way that most people are doing it currently, is they kind of just like throw stuff out into the dark and then hope that it works out. And that just doesn't work for most people. A lot of the times what happens is you're shooting in the dark. You hope that you stumbled upon something that happened to work. It doesn't work because you're just doing it randomly. You probably end up giving up before you make it because you keep throwing stuff out and it keeps failing. That's really discouraging. It's demotivating. It detaches you from your own success and purpose. And so just throwing stuff out there with no data or no thought or no intention will probably make you end up giving up. And then the third downside is you have to figure out everything yourself. And that's really, really challenging. I think people underestimate how difficult it is to consistently be in creativity and problem solving mode and have nothing to kind of go off from or base your direction on because there isn't an example ahead of you. And so market research will help you by not just shooting in the dark, not continuing to put out failing ideas over and over and over and over again, and not having to figure out everything by yourself, right? So the easy way is actually like, let's go out, let's complete some market research to determine if it is already a successful thing that other people do. And so what are we doing with market research? Number one, we're going to go out, we're going to find people that are already doing the thing that I want to do. They already have a website for it, maybe. They already have a lot of their content around it. They have some offers that are out there. The offers have like a price point that you can see on their website. And we're going to look at those people. And then they also have an audience. They already have people following them. They already have a content model that speaks to that audience. And in some cases, if the creator is large enough or the coaches or the service or whomever is large enough, their audience is actually there asking them questions. And you can get like a main line directly into their audience if you do market research effectively. And so again, we're going to look at people already doing what you want to do. We want to validate that they are making money the way that you want to make money, and we're going to emulate them. And this is how we're going to do it. Oh, before we get to that, I hear this objection pretty frequently, but what about innovation? Like, I want to move the market. I want to create something totally brand new. Most innovation is often just improvements on existing things. It's improvement on existing paradigms and structures, not crazy ass brand new ideas that are way out of left field. Those ideas generally will come later in your journey as you've gotten used to building products and you can be predictive about what people want, or you're feeling a specific pain yourself and you want to solve that pain. But like, a lot of folks have this idea that they're going to create the next Apple, for instance, or the next Google, when in reality, there were about 1 billion versions of Google that didn't work out or were not, the market wasn't ready for, or whatever it is. And so the easiest way to innovate is actually to look at what other people are doing and improve upon it. That could be automating things that they haven't automated yet. That could be applying a new paradigm from a different profession, right? That might improve the viability of a business or way people approach a problem. But innovation itself, more often than not, is going to come out of improving things that already exist, as opposed to trying to create something brand new that doesn't exist for anybody right now. And I would say even those big ideas that are brand new, even within those ideas, there were often like failures before of the same idea because the world wasn't quite ready for it, or the infrastructure didn't exist to build that idea effectively, right? And so just keep in mind, most innovation comes from small iterative changes, or even like a slightly large change to existing paradigms and structures. So don't worry too much that you're going to be looking ahead at other people and you're going to be saying, these folks are doing what I want to do. And uh-oh, like, what about innovation? How am I doing anything new if I'm just following other people? I wouldn't worry too much about that. Instead, I would say, let's go look at their stuff and see what they are not doing well and improve upon it. And that's your version of innovation. Sorry for the drinks here. Voice a little dry. Okay. So how are we going to use market research to validate? I'm going to say the exact same way that you go research almost anything else, is the same way that you're going to use market research to validate your idea. Number one, Google. Use the word someone would Google to find the thing that you're trying to offer. So go straight to Google and say, are there websites for the thing that I'm trying to offer? What do the websites look like? Who runs the websites? What landing pages do they have? What are they offering on their website? This is one really good way to go validate that people are already making money doing the thing that you're trying to do. So that's step one. Go out and Google, literally put in the keywords that people would use to find you if you were running the offer. And I bet you will find websites that will give you a clear understanding of how to structure an offer, how to create a website that converts, how to create landing pages, so on and so forth. Number two, go to YouTube, do the same thing. Search for the phrases and problems that people would use to find your content. Are there big creators on YouTube talking about the thing that you want to do? If they are on YouTube talking about the thing that you want to do they have a website that they're filtering people to or funneling people to? Click that website. Go down, again, do the same thing you did with the Google stuff. Look at their offers, look at how their website's designed, look at their landing pages, look at the links that are on their website. Again, you're just trying to validate, is someone selling this thing already? Because if someone is, then you are probably validating that you're onto something with your offer. Number three is Reddit. It's edgy. I don't know. Reddit's a little wild sometimes. But are there subreddits related to their offer? What are the topics that are appearing over and over again in that subreddit? Are people asking questions about the problem that you solve? Is there an opportunity, by the way, for you to go comment on those and establish some authority on Reddit as a person who does the thing that you're trying to offer? I will make a note about Reddit. They don't take kindly to sales. I feel like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok is a little more like, okay, you can try to sell me stuff or DM me. I think Reddit is not the place to do sales, and you'll probably get super dragged there. Someone could prove me wrong, though, if they want to. But I think the culture there is generally don't come here pitching your services, but it is a good spot for you to go research, again, the same things. Are there people here doing the thing I'm trying to do? Or are there people here with the problems I'm trying to solve? Are they asking about this problem? And that, again, validates that there is an audience, there are people with the problem. And then lastly, like TikTok, same thing, Instagram, and any of these different things. So I want you to take away here, it doesn't matter really the method. What you're doing is you're using keywords on different social medias or search engines to the same keywords that people would use to find you if you were offering the thing that you want to offer, right? And you're finding creators who are already doing content on it. Are they still active? Do they have a website? What's on their website? What's it look like? What are their offers? How much are they charging for their offers? Now, what is that all going to enable for you? Well, it's going to validate that people are already selling your offer. So that's great, because this is how you're going to skip over this thing where you have to reach out to 500 people and say, I'm trying to do this. What do you think? Instead, you already know that people want it because people are already paying for it to other people. The second thing it's going to do is give you an idea of how to structure the offer. So instead of like having to do this struggly thing where you're cycling over, how do I phrase my offer in my bio and all of these different things, you already have that on their website. Number three is it's going to give you clear pricing on how people price the thing that you're trying to sell, because other people are already pricing it, and the market tends to determine rates. And so I wouldn't let that pricing thing be a limiting factor, but maybe it's a low factor, a floor factor of like, okay, this is like around an average of what people are charging. And maybe that's where I put my floor as opposed to my ceiling, my pricing floor. And then again, it's going to give you like landing page structures. How do people talk about the offer? Things like that. And so the point is, go out into the world, search for the exact things that people would search for in order to find you, and then click into and observe as a researcher how people are selling the same thing you want to sell, who they're selling it to. And then one other thing that I would do in addition to that is I would say, what gaps are they not addressing? How could I slip in underneath their offer and address things that they don't address, or address them differently than other people? And I'll give you one really good example quickly. I'm currently saying this is how to go validate an offer without reaching out to 500 people. Everyone I know so far has said, in order to do market research, you have to literally go talk to 50 different people. You got to ask them a bunch of questions. You got to do a bunch of discovery work. And there is room for that. There is a reason to do that. And that's actually part of the next step I would advocate for. But before you invest in all of that, I noticed that there's a gap of like, but you could just do a bunch of market research on your own without having to talk to a lot of people and validate whether it's even worth going and talking to people about the thing, right? And so I've identified a gap that I can go talk about over and over and over, how to validate your product without talking to 4 billion people, right? And so you want to do the same thing as you're going through websites, as you're going through search engines and social media, to both observe what they're doing, but also observe if there are any gaps or things that you do differently to other people that would be beneficial. All right. So as you're doing market research, these are the questions that I would ask. I think that there are a bunch more questions I just added in, but is there a big creator in this space on one social media, on each social media? Can I follow them? And can I siphon their audience? That's the big thing. Can I start like talking to their audience when they post something and there's 60 comments? Can I go talk to their audience in those 60 comments? Do those creators have a website or a link tree or something that's going out to their offers? What does that look like? How much are they charging for those? What does their website and landing page look like, etc.? Again, like I think I just said this above in number one, but can you follow them on conversational social medias like Twitter, YouTube? Can I start conversations with them? That's not as important. Can I start conversations with their audience though? Can I reply to their audience's comments and things like that? Lastly, again, what is their offer stack? What is the transformation they're selling? How long does it take to do? Who does it apply to? Who doesn't apply to? All of these different things. And so you want to run through a set of questions that say like, again, what are people charging? How are they structuring their offer? What does their website look like? What does their content look like? So on and so forth. Just all of the questions you would eventually actually ask an advisor. So we're reaching the end here. And I see that there's a question over here that I'll talk to in just a second. But I think where I would leave off is a lot of this is like, if you're able to do keyword research, if you're able to just search through, if you're able to put keywords and find people that are doing the thing that you want to do eventually, then you have a whole like script and roadmap that you can build out for yourself. Yeah, that you can build out for yourself instead of having to like come up with it on your own or pay a coach one-on-one to like give you that roadmap. You're able to kind of take control of that. So we made it through in like 40 minutes. That was a little bit faster than I anticipated. I see a question. In my case, I'm a project manager. I would like to sell PM services to help small business owners to find improvement projects for their business. And so to your point, Nicholas, I think I've seen you around. I think you shared a doc with me too. And I did take a look at it. I got to dive in a little bit more, but I'll throw you a comment over there. So you're a project manager. You'd like to sell PM services to help small business owners. And so if it were me, I would start Googling as if I was a small business owner and say, like, what would I be looking for if I needed project management things for a small business? And so there's like two different ways to look at this. The first way is from the aspect or the position of the small business owner. Why would a small business owner be looking for project management help? And so there's a little bit of a brainstorm for you to think about, like, what are the types of projects small businesses have? What are the pain points that they have when they're trying to run these projects, so on and so forth. And so I would start thinking from that lens and start like trying out different Google phrases that a small business owner might use. But I would also just start Googling like project managers for small business. And so like, I don't know if I'm going to do a risky, like maybe this will work and maybe it won't. But if I were to throw into Google, like project management for a small business, I'm trying to, okay, I think that's going to work. I would go through here and say, like, okay, what are we doing? There's a lot of software for small businesses. I don't see a lot of services. So maybe project management service for a small business. Bunch of software, managed service provider. Yeah, a lot of projects management software for small businesses. So that's really interesting because I'm not seeing a lot of, let's try project management. Agency. Let me try Michigan because that's where I'm at. Managed services consulting, agency project management. Very interesting. So here's project management consultants in Michigan: Onyx Enterprise, PTD Technology, Cortland Consulting. And so what I see when I'm looking at this is like these are tending to be like businesses, like actual businesses. I don't see Raymond Whitaker Design. There's one of them. Strategic Planning, Suite of Services. I can't tell if this is here. So I ended up here. And so like point being, like going through here, visit website. Website doesn't work. Okay. Here's Raymond Whitaker, LLC. And if I were to go in here, I'm like, okay, what do they have as a website? There's some design stuff. This doesn't even seem like project management, honestly, but it does say leadership, org development. Design is kind of sleek. Meet Elizabeth. Interesting. She's the founder. She did a bunch of stuff. Let's connect. Yeah. So I think what I'm getting here, Nicholas, is like, I would dive further into, I don't want to spend all day Googling and that kind of thing. But this is the process. I guess this is what I want to say. This is the process that I go through when I'm trying to research an idea that I want to invest in. Is I go through and I start trying to find people already doing the things that I'm doing and see if I can find a website that will show me how people are already making money doing this thing. This is if you are a person who does websites, this might be someone I would reach out to and help. But in any case, this person says, here's my portfolio of all of the things that I've done. Engineering, consulting, project management, services, project management. Boy, they need some, SEMrush. Okay. So in any case, this is the process that I would go through to answer you, Nicholas. I would keep doing all of that. Kalo, that's awesome. I haven't used the free version of SEMrush, and maybe that's something I can look into a little bit more. I didn't know there was, or SEMrush. I didn't know that there was a free version of that, so I'm gonna go check that out. I really appreciate the tip there. And so, any case, heading on back to presentation land somewhere. I don't know. I think I'm off the beaten path at this point. Going back, yeah, I think the big thing here is making sure that you're finding a way that you can put in keywords. You would actually be able to find yourself online, and you can find people who are offering stuff. So, or offering the same thing that you want to offer. 10 searches a day. That's awesome. I'm going to have to go get that like pretty immediately for myself because I do a lot of research all the time. In any case, to wrap up, as I always wrap up, if this was helpful, if you found it helpful, please share it with people that also might find it helpful or that it would help. So that's the first thing. Please share it with other folks. Send them to xjoshwalker/webinar. That's where they can register and make sure that they're also getting reminders to join this thing on a weekly basis. Number two, reach out to me. Just let me know how it helped, or give me feedback on how I could do better. That's really useful. Or what wasn't clear, anything like that. All of that's really, really useful to me. And lastly, sharing with your audiences. If you're a person who has built an audience on social media, that's always really helpful to me too. So I really appreciate the time today. Kalo and Nicholas, thank you for both, joining in, asking some questions. Kalo, especially, like, thanks for the SEMrush tip. I didn't know that they give 10 searches a day. I'm literally about to go down or go sign up for that like right now. So I really appreciate it. Next week, we'll be talking about like actually validating with customers and things like that. That'll be interesting. That'll wrap up this webinar series, but I have really enjoyed doing Saturday live streams, and I might just kind of continue to do this just about different topics. Maybe it'll be half an hour instead of an hour. But I think it's kind of been a blast waking up every Saturday and just kind of talking about stuff that's interesting to me. So this will continue into the new year in some way or another. Maybe less frequently. But anyway, really appreciate it. Thanks everybody for joining, and I'll see you next week. Have a good one.